The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
What's up, Raider Nation? Jahan and Rashawn back at it with another video. And today we're going to be discussing Drake Maye to the Las Vegas Raiders. Not someone who the Raiders have been tied to as of late, but we feel at the Silver and Black Attack that the way the QB hierarchy is shaping up, I think there's a really good chance of him slipping past the top 3 picks and for the Raiders to acquire the very accomplished quarterback out of UNC.
Yeah, Drake Maye, definitely a baller. Showed his promise at North Carolina this past year. A big, versatile quarterback, 6'4", 223. North Carolina born and raised. Not someone who the Raiders have been tied to, like you said, but the way the quarterback hierarchy is shaping up as of right now, it really looks like Drake Maye could be going past the top 3. With the Commanders, kind of zeroing in on Jayden Daniels, as we've heard, and Brian Kelly, of course, with the slip up saying Commanders are getting a great quarterback, we could easily see Drake Maye fall out of the top 3, and maybe the Raiders can trade up and make a move to get him. He has all the tools. Like, there's nothing that he doesn't have. He has big size. He can move. He's got a big arm, can throw the ball down the field. And his pro comparisons were, Josh Allen, who's a superstar quarterback, hasn't won any meaningful games yet, but maybe that'll change this year. I think he's still Mahomes' bitch, so I don't think he's getting anywhere. But the other one is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert and him kind of have a lot in common. It's actually scary how much they have in common. Just being really big quarterback, can throw the ball down the field, can open up the field by escaping with their legs. We've seen Herbert do it to us so many times. But the other thing is that, like, in the draft scenario, if you see Caleb Williams going number 1, which is kind of a lock, Jayden Daniels at number 2 kind of seems like a lock now at this point, with Brian Kelly just slipping it and saying Commanders are getting a good one, like I just said. We hope Drake Maye falls and Raiders can maybe, move up and make a move for him. But it's also looking like the Patriots are, in another video we discussed, the Patriots are going to probably be take JJ McCarthy from Michigan. Got that Brady connection with Michigan, and he fits the New England fan base culture, and his stock is only rising essentially after pro day. He had one of the best pro days that anyone has ever seen. But we talked about JJ McCarthy in another video, but back to Drake Maye. 12 games this year for North Carolina, had about a 63% pass completion, about 3,600 yards passing, and 24 touchdowns and 9 interceptions with a 149 average rating. Then on the ground, he also almost added another 500 yards with another 9 touchdowns, which shows that he can get out of the pocket. And there's no question about his arm strength, essentially. His arm strength can come from anywhere. He has no fear when he throws the ball. He can throw it downfield. He can throw it into tight windows. He doesn't worry like some quarterbacks do about throwing an interception. Like, he'll kind of just try to thread the needle and get the ball in there. And, in his college career, he did show flashes of being clutch. He had, in the Duke game at the end of the year last year, he really, he put the team on his back, and I believe that game went to overtime, and he ended up clutching it in the last few minutes of in the overtime period on the last few plays. But ball comes out of his hand with a nice spiral, and I think he can expedite the operation time when the release, on the release of the ball when the pressure is coming. When these big defensive tackles and these edge rushers who are so fast now are running at you, it just depends, like, how can a quarterback adapt to that and still get off a tight spiral to fit the ball into these, like, small squeeze places.
Yeah, and to close, I truly think that he has all the tools, like you mentioned. That's you can't dispute that as an evaluator of talent. He has that comp to Herbert, like you mentioned. Big size, can move a little bit, and he has the big arm. I think the one worry I have with Drake Maye is the boneheaded plays. There's certain times, like we seen Josh Allen, he has all the talent, but there's certain plays where you're just scratching your head, like, what was this guy thinking? And I think with Drake Maye, there's a little bit of that in him. So he has to be coached out of that. I don't think that's why he's not on the level of a Caleb Williams out of USC right now. I think that's why he's looked at as the second or third best prospect. So he definitely has to improve in that area of the game if he wants to be that Super Bowl winning quarterback. And also, Drake Maye wasn't a proven winner at UNC. I think they went 8-5 last year. So it's okay, but for college, that's not what you want, especially when you have guys like Caleb Williams, who's been to he's won a Heisman. Michael Penix took his team to the national championship, and JJ McCarthy obviously won the national championship last season. So there are more proven winners in this draft class. But I do think in terms of intangibles and all the talent, I think Drake Maye is right up there. And like you mentioned, I think the way it's stacking up right now with Jayden Daniels maybe going two with the Brian Kelly leak in the recent days, I think JJ McCarthy's going to go three, and that leaves Drake Maye falling a little bit to number four. And I think that's the sweet spot, like we've consistently hammered home on this channel. The Raiders have a chance to trade up to number four with the Arizona Cardinals. So there's a chance for Drake Maye. And I'm not sure how high AP is or Telesco is to Drake Maye because let's face it, we haven't heard a lot about it. But yeah, Raider Nation, like we've mentioned, this hierarchy keeps moving around. It's cyclical. It's not going to be set until, right up to the draft. So these next few weeks, we're going to have you covered on all things NFL draft, all things free agency. But Raider Nation, we appreciate all the support, all the love on our recent videos. We can't thank you guys enough. And continue liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing with your friends. Those four things help us tremendously. So we really appreciate the support, Raider Nation. And Jahan and Rashawn signing off. Thank you guys.